The following program may contain coarse language, violence, nudity, mature subject matter, or scenes which may not be suitable for all viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back, X Zone Nation. Wow, that first hour was kind of a... When this is the difference between what we used to do and what we do now. When we were doing live radio at CKTB and other stations across Canada, it was very simple. You know, you had about 3 or 4 producers and everything was live. And if there was we had things called carts, and these were little cassette, like 8 tracks. And you had all these machines in front of you, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you had all the carts lined up. So all you would do is you take a cart, for example, Aliens and Bob. All you do is you take the cart that says Alien and Bob, and you slide it into the cart machine, and Le Voilà would play. But here with modern technology and all the wonders of digital miracles, I guess, when you hit a button and it doesn't play, it's like, uh-oh. Then we've got a producer and an engineer scurrying around looking for what has happened until we finally get the song. So we apologize to our good friend Charlie Rumba and his followers around the world for not getting that song when we did. But you know what? We did get it, and we did play it, and it's a great song, and I can't wait until Charlie Rumba comes out with more songs so that we can play them here as we did tonight. Aliens and Bob. Wow, from Aliens to a Swami. That's right. This hour we have Swami who's going to be joining us. His name is Swami TIRTHA, and he is a mystical channel and a healer, born psychic, medium, healer, and shaman. Joining us now from parts unknown is the Swami himself. Hey, Swami, how are you tonight?
Hey, Rob. Thanks for having me on the show.
You know, Swami, I've been doing this show for 33 years. And you, sir, are the very first Swami we've ever had on the show.
Look at that.
I must ask you, what's with the Orange Cowboy website when you're a Swami?
Yeah, well, Krishna was a cowboy, wasn't he? He herded the cows. And I wore the hat because it kept the sun out of my eyes. And people started calling me the Orange Cowboy, and they loved it. They laughed.
Yeah.
I said, okay, well, make people happy.
Well, first time Swami, dressed in orange. You know, I figure if the Beatles can have a yellow submarine, we can have an orange Swami here.
There you go.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Swami.
Sure. Well, let's see. Started off my life in an unusual place back in the 60s. Well, when the Beatles were in India meditating, that was all we knew about meditation, yoga. We didn't have yoga on every corner, and we had no discussion of ETs that I knew about. Psychics, mediums, none of that was in our vocabulary. But then I started to have some strange dreams at night that I'd be separated from my parents. I'd have multiple parents, and this was a recurring dream for probably 10 years. And closer to the 10th year, it was around the Vietnam War. And so my dream changed. And now in my dream, I was the soldier coming home from war. And my parents moved and didn't tell me where they moved. Very disturbing. Then I started driver's education. And I started having dreams. I'd step on the gas and the car wouldn't stop. Had my father check the brakes on his car and all that. Now one day we're in the car, real life. And we're at a T intersection. Mm-hmm. And across the street from us is a funeral home. And I'm looking up at the funeral home. And all of a sudden, my whole vision swirls black. And I just start crying. I don't want you to die. I don't want you to die. And
oh, my God.
When I could see again, they turned back and they're looking at me. And my parents go, what are you talking about? And within a year, they were in a car crash and they passed on. And we had multiple parents, multiple couples looking out for my brother and myself. So this stuff that is such a beautiful gift helping people at that time was not a gift at all for me. And after the grieving process, I said, I got to figure out what this is, because it's not possible. It's cynical. We laughed at people who meditated, and the whole country more or less did, basically. So I really just, I was in the radio and TV film myself, college times, and I just put it all aside and said, I got to get into this. And I just finished college at a meditation college, became a meditation teacher. And it's been back and forth. God's been pushing me into the mainstream and then back to the meditation world and mainstream and spiritual world. And so that's how it all kind of started.
My goodness. Have you ever had an encounter with an ET?
I had, actually. Going to high school one day, I was walking through some little bit of forest, and I just looked up at the gray sky, and there was a grayer silhouette of a spaceship sitting on top of the trees. And I think there was like a bubble, a second, where I just sort of like popped back into my awareness, looking at the spaceship, and I go, okay, well, and I walked to school. But then I started drawing this picture of what I now know is that very famous alien face, that almond eyes and all that.
Yeah.
And if you remember in art class, they used to tell us, if you want to draw a horse, see the horse in your mind and draw it.
Right, exactly.
I could never see anything in my head, but I saw this alien face, and I didn't know what it was. I didn't know it was an alien face. And I had a name for it, and only over the decades when I started, I saw somebody else say, here's an alien ship in a silhouette of a gray. It was exactly what I saw. And when I saw that face, and little by little, it started to dawn on me, I had an encounter, and I have a feeling that second was probably a second in my time, but it was, I think, a lot longer, and I think I was up in that ship somehow.
I am grateful that we're all able to talk about these topics openly these days.
Yeah.
And because, as I was saying earlier, so many people have had these encounters, premonitions, psychic experiences, and they didn't want to talk about it because they felt as if they were going to be scorned by society, their family and friends.
Yeah.
But now, because of people like yourself, the work you do, the people that you meet, the hearts that you touch, people are able to be themselves, and they're able to tell their stories, share their stories. And by doing this, I believe that more and more people are going to be able to help solve the puzzle that we all have in front of us. And I used to use the analogy that each and every one of us has a piece of this jigsaw puzzle in our pocket. And if we were all to come to the table and work on this puzzle together, we'd solve it. And I think the time is now where a lot of these puzzles are going to be solved, thanks to the quantum sciences that are starting to open up the universes to places that we've never had before. And of course, some members of the media, the people at Star Trek, Gene Roddenberry, look what he did, and so I really believe the time is now. What is your opinion, Swami?
Yeah, 2012, you remember, that was the moment.
Sure do.
So in 2010, January 1st, I woke up New Year's Day just to a dream, another vision. I was in an elevator, the doors open. I was in Eden, and on either side of the elevator doors were the angels singing 2010 is 2012. And I wrote a song about it, and basically it's already started. That was the message of that song, of that vision. And they said that it's the age of celebration, the age of joy. And in actually 2012, I was in Guatemala, and I was invited to a Mayan celebration for the winter solstice. And the Mayan shaman said, all these white people are saying it's the end of the world. The Mayan calendar is the end of the world. He says, but nobody's asked the Mayans what they think about it.
That's right. Yeah, my wife and I went down to Mexico and through Central America, and we were talking to the Mayans, and we were introduced to a Mayan prince and a Mayan elder. And I said to him, what is the Mayan calendar all about? What is 2012 all about? And he looked at me and he put a smile on his face. And he said, well, in your house on December 31st, you take the calendar off the fridge and put the new one up after midnight. I said, yeah. He said, well, that's all we're doing is we're putting up a new calendar. And I said, well, where did the myth and the misconception come from that it's the end of the world? He said, the media.
Yeah.
They jumped on it.
Yeah.
It's a way to sell product. And I'm saying, oh, my Lord. They are such a nice people. They have such an insight.
Yeah.
And they're one example of ancient wisdom that has been lost.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell me, Swami, how did you get started with the metaphysical world? Was it because of the experiences that you had as a child, or did something else happen?
Well, that was really it. That was that was just, like the analogy of in the pine forest when the pine cones have the seeds, but they won't get born and grow into trees unless the parent trees burn and the heat releases the seed from the pine cone. And that pretty much summed it up, and I just devoted my whole life. But along the way, though, I had this. I was back working in television again in New York City and one of the networks, and every winter I'd get the flu, and it was miserable and cold, and I'd go to the health food stores looking for things to try out. And one year I found Ayurvedic medicine, and I had the flu, and I took this little stuff and I drank it, and my body I didn't know it was tilted, but it just straightened up, and I didn't have the flu anymore. I said, whoa.
Wow.
The flu wasn't something from outside of me. It was some imbalance. I got to learn more about this.
Yeah, I guess.
And so I studied Ayurveda. I became an Ayurvedic certified practitioner. Eventually started my own school for Ayurvedic practitioners, Vedic astrology. These are things that really touched me. I must figure I had a past life or multiple past lives in India. So it just, there are different layers of mysticism, of healing, of whatnot. I went to the Amazon rainforest around 2015, and we lived with the shamans in the Amazon rainforest, and they said to me, "Oh, based on your experiences, you from the ayahuasca, from the natem." They don't like the word ayahuasca because that's what the Spanish derogatory word of.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was. They called it the devil's weed, and that's what it is. So they like the word natem, but nobody knows that. So I figure I'd say ayahuasca.
Swami, I hate to do this to you, my friend, but I've got to take a quick break. We'll be right back. And Exonation, if you'd like to contact the Swami, visit his website, orangecowboy.com. And we'll both be back on the other side as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. I'm Rob McConnell. Swami TIRTHA is our guest, and we shall both return with more. And in fact, when we come back, I'm going to ask the Swami not only to tell us about his time in the Amazon, but also his time living in the Himalayas. We'll be back. Don't go away. And welcome back, everyone. Swami TIRTHA is our special guest. His website is orangecowboy.com. All right, so please continue about the Amazon adventure that you've had. Sure, living with the shamans.
Yeah, so we saw different shamans. One of them blew alcohol and fire at us to purify us, and he looked at a candle and would read each person. And for me, he said, "You're a natural-born shaman." Mm-hmm. And then we went into the actual rainforest, and we did the herbal natem, and had dreams that night and shared them the next day. And he said, for me, that means you're a natural-born shaman and a healer. And that was just pretty cool for me. It was a good validation of what I felt, but didn't know for sure. And,
did you actually partake with ayahuasca?
Yes. Yeah.
How was that? We hear stories of people getting violently ill after taking it, and then.
Yeah. Well, everybody eventually threw up, but the way I mean, I did. It took me forever to throw up.
Oh, there you go.
But the way it was presented to us somewhere along the way was it's a poison, it'll kill you if you don't throw up. And
Right.
some people were wailing and crying all night long. I had to go back, and a lot of the guys had to get a second dose because it was quite mild. They explained it to us. It's the feminine version of peyote. So the male version, peyote, would be much stronger of an influence, supposedly.
Hmm.
Uh,
So, what did you experience after ingesting this wonderful love potion?
I don't remember too much other than like I saw seeing colorful snakes, but we were staying in tents outside, and we had partners, and my partner said to me, "You kept going out and helping everybody who was sick. You'd hold their toilet paper, you'd hold their flashlights." So I was like helping everybody all night. I sort of knew I always did that. But somewhere in the middle of the night, I just got up. I said, okay, it's time to get rid of this stuff. I've had enough of it. And I just spit it out or vomited it out.
So would you suggest this as a way that people could experience the inner vision and quest that they seek?
Well, certainly it's a way.
Yeah.
One of the gals in our group afterwards, she went to John Perkins, if you've heard of him. He's the one who sort of put this whole group together. He wrote a book. I forgot the name of it, but basically how the CIA is doing all this the economic hitman, I think is the name of the book. And he's a shaman, American shaman, teacher in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And he does shamanic journeys. And she went to him afterwards, and she said she got the same experience in the journey that she got from the Natem, but without having to ingest it.
Oh,
so
there you go.
There's a couple of ways to do it. Yeah.
Is meditation one way?
Meditation is, I think, a gradual way. It's more natural in the sense that it develops over time, and I think that it's not an either or, is what I'm trying to say. I think meditation is a great thing for anybody, whether you're an athlete or a Swami, or anybody in between, a piano player, and just clear your mind, calm your mind, help find yourself.
I think in the 60s, when meditation and yoga became very popular to the West, that the lotus flower position was the way to meditate.
Right,
and I think that turned a lot of people off of meditation.
Right, the pretzel position.
Yeah, the pretzel position. Yeah, there goes grandma had a hip surgery and she wants to do meditation. Yeah, all right. Call 911 now, because in about 30 minutes we're going to need them. But how does one... I'm sorry?
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was just going to ask...
Sorry, I'll listen. I will listen.
You're the guest. You go ahead.
I think I was going to follow up on what you're saying. There's this misconception that the way to meditate is sitting straight, not moving, cross-legged. And that's a way, but serving people, being in service to people, is another way. People are police, firemen, soldiers. They serve people. And then there's also other active meditations. And one of the things that I discovered or was shown, is how to do real-time healings. Like, so for example, somebody would come to me in the past, we'd sit down and I'd talk to them, give them some herbs, give them some food recommendations, and they go out in the world and then they work with it. But there are people who I find, if you're going to grow in life, you have to become active. You can't just sit.
Yeah.
And so I was shown how to do something I call instant energy healing through the heart. So you're stressed at work and the people are yelling at you. The people are... Mm-hmm. And you just sort of put your hand on your heart. You kind of say a prayer for the best for that moment. You take a breath and it goes away. And there's research that just touching your heart helps you calm down. And so I try to help people. I show people in real time not sitting in the office, but somebody who has a problem holding their bowels while they're out in the world because of anxiety, I go out with them and work with their thought patterns, and then they're out there and it's happening. They're not having that problem anymore.
Excellent.
So real time, I think, is perhaps the most important of them all, because it's the final test.
I have a cardiologist here in Hamilton. His name is Dr. Sullivan. And whenever he's talking to you, he has his hand on your heart.
Wow.
And it is. And I'm very blessed to have him as a cardiologist and as a friend. And I asked him once, I said, why do you put your hand on my heart? He says, because I want to connect.
Beautiful. Yeah, I feel it.
Yeah, it's wonderful. What are some of the other? What are some of
the? You connect with yourself.
Yeah, So all you have to do is, I don't know if you can see me, but I'm putting my hand on my heart.
Right.
And all I need to do is say a prayer or a mantra.
What is the thing you most want to address right now? This is the exercise, so I'll do it with you.
Okay.
Think of the thing you most. So maybe it's a health issue, a physical health, a mental health. Maybe it's a relationship issue.
Right.
And you say, whatever term you use, God, Spirit, Angel, thank you for already making this happen for the highest good of all. And then I would also have people, have them rate their level from 10 to the worst stress they're going through to 1, a mild stress. And after that one session, their points drop down. And we'll go through it a few times.
I can feel it.
Yeah.
I can really feel it.
And you could do that, and people don't know you're doing it. You could sit in the boardroom and do that. People could be yelling, and you just say, thank you, God. So you're grateful it's already happened. That's the part of it. And you've cleared yourself out. You go on.
Thank you for that, Swami.
My pleasure, Rob.
Swami, my producer is asking me to ask you a question. What does the title Swami mean?
Yeah, Swami is just a Sanskrit Hindu word for monk.
That's it?
Yeah.
So you're a monk.
That's it.
I think Swami is a real cool name.
Yeah. Well, I took the name to honor my guru. He made me a Swami, so.
You've lived in the Himalayas. You've let me see. You were in the Amazon. You were in the Himalayas. What was it like in the Himalayas? It seems so mystical in the Himalayas.
It is in every way. I mean, the pine cones are like 2 feet tall.
My gosh.
You feel like you really are a part of nature. You don't feel like you command it and control it. And the steps of the rice fields, the beauty, the visuals, their Himalayan mountains ranges, they call them hills. Oh, those are the hills, because you have the really big mountains like Mount Everest.
Right. So was this in Tibet?
This was in India.
Nepal, India?
This was in India still. You go from Rishikesh, where the Beatles were, you go up north from there.
And how long were you there?
I was there for a little bit of time every year for probably about 10 or so years.
And while you were there, what did you learn? What did you experience? And how did it make you? How did it make you feel? Did you feel whole? Did you feel enlightened?
I felt like a little bit like I was home, not completely, but I felt like I was returning to someplace comfortable. And I really went to visit and spend time with my guru, my Swami, every year. And the funny thing is, when you leave and you start driving down the mountain,
right,
all of a sudden it's like the sun is going down. You didn't know you were in this basking sun warmth of my guru.
Right.
And as you start to go further away, you realize, oh wow, I just was somewhere special. That's probably the best experience I could share about that.
Swami, we have to take our next break. Please stand by. Thank you very much for taking time to visit with us tonight, Swami.
Thank you, Rob. Appreciate it.
Exonation, Swami TIRTHA is our special guest. And if you'd like to find out more about Swami, maybe you'd like to contact him. His website is orangecowboy.com. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. Don't forget, you can listen to us 724, 365 on your radio, on any streaming service that you have, just by going to www.xzbn.net. We'll be back. Don't go away. And welcome back, everyone. Swami TIRTHA is our special guest, orangecowboy.com. Swami, how many books have you written?
Oh, I think I've written about 6 books by now. Yeah.
And in your opinion, sir, which book that you have written has touched or helped so many people, the most people?
I'd say in terms of help, I'd go by pure numbers. The first book I wrote, the Ayurveda Encyclopedia, it's about 700 pages, full-size book, full-size page. It's about 30,000 copies, number one bestseller on Amazon for many years. So that was quite a surprise, a happy surprise for me.
Now, you're a psychic, you're a healer, you're a channel.
Yeah.
How do you hone your skills?
I more and more try and listen to what I'm called to do. More and more try and do what the flow is happening instead of resisting it. That's the simple answer. It's not simple to do, but it's a simple answer. Eating healthy foods, meditating, staying in nature, connecting more with people, and practicing.
In your opinion, can anyone be a psychic or a healer?
I believe we're all psychic. You know, you've heard of mother's intuition, and certainly fathers, I believe, have that too. I think most people, maybe they don't use it, but you may have like a great musician. You know, they just have a gift, very intuitive. They play songs and everybody loves them. So that to me is psychic, intuitive.
Oh,
yeah.
How did you become professionally involved with psychic mediumship?
Well, it's a similar story, you know, in a sense to the one about the funeral home and my parents.
Right. Yeah.
I was out in my yard and I saw that the fattest bird on my fence post. I pulled out binoculars and it was an owl in the middle of the day. And owls, in the back of my mind, I said, oh, they're symbolic of death and metaphysics. And a few days later on the internet, there was a show called Somebody the Psychic. And I had never really known much about the psychic, so psychic medium. And I was watching the show and I was brought to tears how this person would contact people from above and people who have passed on and tell these people about it. And these people would be healed, that they missed their parents or they got closure. And as I was in tears, suddenly that black circle happened again for me, the same one that told me my parents were dying. And then I heard the same voice and it said, now you can go deeper into your mediumship. And I said, whoa, okay. And I knew a lot of psychics and mediums, and a lot of them studied at Lilydale Assembly in upstate New York.
Yeah.
And so I went out there and I had the great fortune of studying with a number of TV psychic mediums, Lisa Williams, Tony Stockwell from England, and Janet Nohavec, who recently passed. I don't know if you've interviewed her over the years. And so studied with them, took a group how to give readings to groups and also how to give them to one-on-one. Oh, I'll tell you a story that's really cool there. My first time in Lilydale, you go to their church assembly and it's outdoors in the forest. And what they do is the registered mediums get up and read the people in the audience. And one of them, so I'm sitting there and I'm starting to feel very agitated. I can't sit in the chair properly on the bench. And my attention is taken away from everything. And suddenly I hear, you in the orange cowboy hat, would you like a reading? And that was me. And I go, yeah. She says, you have this giant angel behind you. And they said that when you were young, you drowned twice, and both times you went to heaven. and both times you brought light back to the earth. And then she went on, and my friend says, did that happen? I'm trying to remember. And all of a sudden, I did. I fell into two pools, two above ground pools as a kid, and suddenly just popped out. Not that, not that the ambulance came or anything like that. And I was so lit up from that realization that something real happened in my life. I used to go around as a kid moping, nothing ever happens to me. But I think what I meant was, why don't I ever have a connection to spirit?
Right.
And once I realized that, people said to me, you're like a whole different person. You look so different. I was so alive. So I just thought of that. I haven't thought of that in a couple of years now.
What's it like being able to communicate with the other side and bring closure to people who miss that final opportunity to say goodbye, I love you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sometimes there was one gal. She was so insistent. What did my husband say to me in the hospital the last day before he died? And I heard he says, I love you. And I told her that, and she broke down in tears. She goes, yes, that's right, thank you. And it's so rewarding. It's like every the more you can, whatever you do, when people
Right.
are truly touched, it makes life, everything you do so worthwhile. And yet, just yesterday, a gal asked me to do a reading for her cat who is dying.
Right.
So and she's a psychic medium. So she says, can you help me come to terms with this, because I can't hardly deal with it. And so it works even as a prevention and a preparation as well.
Has there ever been a time when somebody's come to you, Swami, and asked you to connect with somebody on the other side,
Yeah.
and the person on the other side has basically said, I don't want to talk to them. I don't want anything to do with them.
Well, yeah, Rob, that actually, in multiple reasons, that has come true. A friend of
Really?
mine, I was doing a reading for him. I got his grandparents, his other grandparents, and finally says to me, how come you didn't get my father? And and then I get a sense that there's a spirit over here. I go, did your father not show up in your life? And he goes, yeah, he never showed up in my life. I said, well, he's standing over here telling me that. He goes, if I just showed up now, you wouldn't believe it was him. And it was like,
Wow.
whoa. But on a sadder note, I've had a number of women who did not have very good relationships with their father. And they never even came through. And I only heard from other people that they were upset in the reading that their father didn't come through and apologize to them. He didn't come through at all. And sometimes somebody'd ask, well, what about my dad? I go, I'm sorry, he's not apologizing. He's just, so yeah.
I imagine it must be hard for you, because I feel that you're a very empathic person, and that, you take the hearts of those who come to you for help. You guard it, and you take care of them. But it must be, and I believe it's hard. I know it would be very hard for me to have a mother or father in front of me who's asking to be connected with a child on the other side.
Yes. My grandparents said to me that it was the hardest thing for them to lose their children, meaning my parents. My mother's mother told me that. And but when the kids come through, and I'm what's called an evidential medium, which means I have to give you evidence of something that happened between you and them that only you would know about. And that way you have faith that it really is happening. And I also need that faith to know I'm connected. I'm not just making stuff up.
Right.
So when they start telling those stories, I had a gentleman and his wife, and I told them about their son in the motorcycle accident. And I said, but he's telling me that just as that truck was coming, God took him out of there. He never felt any pain. And that alone was a huge relief. And then he said, listen, if you just drive around that road where I lost my life, I'll be there with you and you'll feel us together. And it was such a beautiful moment for them.
Swami, we've got to take our final break. please stand by. And X Zone Nation, if you'd like to contact the Swami, his website is orangecowboy.com. I'll be back as we wrap up this hour here in the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell, right here from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. And we're back. Swami TIRTHA is our guest, orangecowboy.com. First of all, Swami, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Great pleasure talking to you and meeting you, sir.
Same here, Rob. It's been a joy. Thanks for having me.
There's so many questions I have for you, and yet we have about 9 minutes left. We'll have to have you back on, that's for sure. I'm sure you have many more stories to share with us.
I'd be happy. It's great.
Tell us about your animal whispering experiences. We own 3 dogs, or we call them our 3 little girls. And one of the jobs that I had through the company that my wife and I own, REL-MAR McConnell Media Company, was the director of communications for the SPCA. So I have a love for animals that runs very deep. But you're a whisperer, the Swami animal whisperer. Tell us about that.
Somebody asked me recently how that began, and I couldn't remember. But what I can tell you is that the horses are the dearest to me for some reason. They come to me in dreams visually. Mm-hmm. Somebody said to me, my horse is sneezing. Can you tell me what it's about? And one night I woke up in the middle of the night and I saw the horse with the sinus problems.
Yeah.
And I called the lady the next day. I said, there's something in the hay. And she goes, that's right. I got some new hay. I have to go back to the better hay. And then here's the funny part. She called me a few weeks later. She says, my farrier's here and he's trying to put shoes on the back of the horse's feet and he won't let him. And he said, call Swami, figure out what's going on. I don't have all day to stand around. so I said, are you standing there by the horse? She says, yeah. I say, well, the horse telling me that it's his front right hoof that's causing pain and he wants the farrier to look at that. She says, oh my God, he's lifting up his front right hoof. I love it. I just love it.
Wow. I wonder what are the most talkative, if I can use that phrase, animal that you deal with?
I'd say it's the horse.
The horse, eh?
Yeah. And the dog is the least talkative because they're devoted. They're in service to you. So if I say, what's the matter? He says, oh, don't worry about me. I'm here to serve Rob. I say, yeah, but if you're sick, you're not serving Rob. He says, well, reluctantly, they start to talk to me. Yeah.
They are so wonderful.
Yeah.
They are so truly wonderful. Okay, now, first Swami here on our show in 33 years. First Swami whisperer for animals ever. But RV psychic tours? Tell me about this one.
Boy, this is the new age. This is the age of joy, but we have to make that decision because we're everything is coming out right now. And do you want to keep these views? Do you want to keep these beliefs? And I had the opportunity to sell my house last year, and over about 6 months into the spring, I realized I don't know where I want to move, and why should I limit myself? So I got an RV, and I'm living in it right now. I'm in it right now.
Wow.
And I have I want to travel to Memphis and go to Grace. I'm called to Graceland for the longest time. I don't know why. And Sun City, and figure I'll swing by Dollywood, but then down to Texas is where I feel called for now. And so yeah, the RV psychic will be talking about the psychic things that are happening, that I'm getting, that and then regular psychic repair tips in the RV. Places that I go, went to a wonderful car museum, old time antique car museum, and so it's a little bit of a little mishmash of everything and a lot of humor.
So we'll be able to say coming to a city near you.
Yes, that's right.
One quick question for you, Swami, and then we have to say so long.
Sure.
Do you have any messages for me from the other side?
Oh, okay. Well, let's take a look. See. Okay, so the first thing is that they're so heartfelt. The spirit is their hearts are swelling with gratitude for what you're doing for the world, and it's like breakthrough. Like I see their hearts are swelling, breaking through our um, through this so-called reality, 3D reality, like the Matrix. So what you're doing from your heart, breaking through this illusion, and they're making me see that you're making people see a reality that's um, and they're in tears, grateful for you. You know, I'm almost starting to. I'm tearing up now to see them tear up. So thank you is what they're saying. Thank you, thank
No,
you,
it's I who thank you, sir, for coming on the show tonight and for
Pleasure.
sharing with us, and let our listeners know how they can find out more about you and where they can buy your books.
Yeah, they could get the books on Amazon and Amazon.com, Amazon Canada, Amazon France, India, wherever there's an Amazon, the books are available. And Orange Cowboy, I have courses in how to be a medical intuitive,
Wow.
how to become a shaman energy healer, and how to practice Vedic astrology.
And this is another reason why we have to have you on. You have so much more to share with us.
I love this, Rob. I love to help. I love to be on like-minded places with like-minded people, and you're about the same like-minded age, I guess it looks like to me. And so, anytime, seriously.
Thank you for that. And one more thing I'd
Yeah.
like you to do. What are your final thoughts tonight for the Exonation? What message would you like to leave with them, Swami?
Okay, so this would be not me, but the channel. So, listeners of the X Nation, you are waking up. Thank you for waking up. You are the forebearers of the new world. You plug in here for energy. You become the open channel. Continue. If you're doubting, go out and build the world. If you don't see it, it's because it's there for you to build. Build the pillars of light for this new age. Be the ones who show the world the joy that really exists if we choose that. Thank you all, and keep listening to Rob's show.
Swami, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Safe driving, safe travels,
Thank you, sir.
and
Same with you. Good continued success and
thank you, sir.
exponentially success.
Thank you so much, Swami, and we'll see you again soon.
Very good, Rob. Lots of love and joy, joy, joy.
Take care, Swami and Exonation. If you'd like to have more information on our Swami that we've had here this hour, Swami TIRTHA, visit his website, orangecowboy.com. Now, I'll be back on the other side of this break at the top of the hour as we continue here in the X Zone, as this is the beginning of a new weekend. So wherever you are, wherever you're traveling, number one, take care of each other. We are each other's brother. Love your family. Give your kids a hug. Give your wife a hug. Tell them how important they are to you. And keep listening and watching the X Zone TV show and radio show. And if you'd like to listen to the radio show, if wherever you are in your car, on the beach, at the office, that'd be nice. www.xzbn.net. We'll be back at the top of the hour with Lloyd Auerbach. Don't go away.